Hi, welcome to Living in El Paso, Texas. My name is John Peña, and in this episode, we're going to talk about an awesome little day trip less than 2 hours away from El Paso, hot springs in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Hi, welcome to Living in El Paso, Texas. My name is John Peña.
And I'm Leah Peña.
And in this episode, we're talking about an awesome little day trip that's about 120 miles from El Paso and about 2 hours away to a really cool place called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And so, let me just give us a little bit of background history on the town here real quick. So, it's a small town. It's only about 6,000 people. It's right on the Rio Grande River, which is awesome. Now, it's got a weird name, Truth or Consequences. It sounds like it renamed itself in the 1950s after a radio show. It used to be called Hot Springs, New Mexico. It's part of the Hot Springs Artesian Basin, a geological formation and thermal water aquifer located in the floodplain of the Rio Grande. And the temperatures of these hot springs ranges from about 98 degrees to about 114 degrees. And the town really wasn't settled much until about 1912 when they started the construction of Elephant Butte Dam, which we checked out. What did you think of that?
Yeah, beautiful, unexpected amount of water right here. Even though it's low right now, it still is beautiful and a lot of water.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a little follow-up video on that since we like to talk about water. But tell me what you thought about the town itself.
The town's a pretty sleepy, small town. John said it's only about 6,000 people. The demographic tends to be older, kind of artsy people, I would say. Great gluten-free restaurants. We found 2, Passion Pies and Destiny's Kitchen. Destiny's Kitchen wasn't open while we were there. We did see that it's a smaller town and more of an arty group of people who are residents there, and they're pretty loose with their store hours and being open. So a lot of the stores were closed, especially because we were there during the middle of the week. They had an incredible amount of junk stores / maybe antique stores where I wondered who shopped at all of them, but they were all closed, so we really didn't get to go in and explore either.
Yeah, for sure. And we didn't spend a ton of time. We're going to mostly show you the hot springs that we stayed at. We did check out a couple of places. They have a little brewery there. They shortened the town from Truth or Consequences to T or C. So Truth or Consequences Brewery, that was fun.
Busy every night we were there.
Yeah, and then we went to this kind of old school restaurant called Los Arcos.
Yeah, great seafood and steak kind of a restaurant. Neat, really local, green, lush plants everywhere, kind of a vibe.
Yeah, for sure. But the main character for us was Riverbend Hot Springs. And so there are other hot springs that you can stay at. We chose this one because it's right on the river. You know?
The river is actually full of water in Truth or Consequences, so it was fabulous to stay right there with the water running.
For sure, and especially like being in El Paso on the Rio Grande, where there isn't water right now, and being up there where there is, that was super cool. So a little bit of background on Riverbend Hot Springs. So it was built in the 1940s as a riverside bait shack where they sold live minnows for fishing, and then in 1990 a new family ended up with it, and they dug a well actually exactly where the minnow tank was, and sure enough they tapped into some of this 109 degree water, and the rest is kind of history. They kind of ran a hostel through about 2010, and then they kind of transitioned into kind of the more current state that it's in right now. And so we really had a great time. If you're planning on going there, if you have an RV, they do have RV parking and plenty of additional parking if you're pulling a trailer or things like that. So we saw a couple people doing that. Mm-hmm. And then, what'd you think about the rooms, the cabins, like the lodging situation?
Yeah, it's definitely a smaller resort on the river there. Very beautiful, appointed outdoors wise. The rooms are nice and all renovated. It's small though, there's probably only about 20, probably even less than 20 rooms and cottages available for rent, and they vary from a small artist room, they call it, up to a 3-bedroom cabin essentially. So there's a lot of options. it's very busy. So if you do intend to go, please make sure you make reservations ahead of time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, our lodging was nice. We stayed kind of in the little cabins. It was like right in the space there, so it was super easy to just go right to the hot springs or whatever you needed. What'd you think about the grounds?
The grounds are amazing. There's fountains everywhere, beautifully landscaped with lush flowering vines. There's grapes growing, vines all over. Honeysuckle, it smelled amazing. They have just done an absolutely fabulous job with the grounds.
Yeah, you can really tell that they've got the attention to the detail, and they've got the drip irrigation, so everything's watered, and it's really lush.
And where we stayed in our cabin, we had a very nice outdoor patio with beautifully cushioned chairs that we were able to eat. I think we ate outside at the table every night that we didn't go out, or all meals that we didn't go out for. They have a grill available, T-bar out right outside of our door as well. So it's a very luxurious kind of feel to the grounds.
Yeah, for sure. Again, we really enjoyed being right there on the Rio Grande. We kind of talked about that, and it literally is. I mean, it's right there, which is awesome. But if you go to the hot springs, obviously what you're looking to mostly probably do is get into the hot springs, and they kind of have a history of kind of have these like healing powers of water and all of that, you know. Now, for me, it was a little warm temperature-wise. Like, I think it would be awesome fall, winter, spring when it's cooler or even cold out, because then you get into that hot water. But like during the day, you know, it was getting up into the 80s and stuff, and so like 80-degree weather and then like 105-degree water, it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, we only went in the hot springs early in the morning and then in the evening time. Yeah.
But what did you think of the hot springs themselves? Because we did get in there a lot.
We did. We spent a lot of time in the hot springs. I will say the most tranquil time you will ever have, I think, in this whole space is getting up early in the morning, and as the sun rises, it's amazing, the play of light over the grounds and over the river and the hot springs. So that was fabulous. They have pools of different varying temperatures in the public pools. So there is, I think they're up to 107 and down to maybe 100 degrees was the coolest pool. John was a little warm for him. I like it hot, but during the day it was too hot for me as well. So definitely a great spring fall place.
Yeah, for sure. What about the private pools?
The private pools were amazing. I'm from Minnesota up north, and being right on the river, the private pools are right on the river, and they're partitioned with this beautiful structure that they've built out of cedar. And so you have the smell of the cedar with the humidity out of the pools, and then kind of this loamy, earthy smell of the earth there, right, with the water. And so it was kind of a heavenly experience for me to just reminisce to those smells you don't really have here in El Paso.
Yeah.
The private pools are great. There's two different styles of them. They have the older ones that are just like the public pools, which are made out of brick and stone essentially. And then they also have some newer pools that are more of a plaster type interior. Still all of them have waterfalls and whatnot into them. The plaster ones though had some like more maybe comfortable sculpting for chairs and whatnot into the pools. But we found all of them very comfortable, very, very comfortable.
Yeah, it really was a great trip. We would encourage it for anybody. What did we pay more or less per night, would you say?
It was about $160 a night for us to stay there, and private pools are extra. They're about $25 to $35 an hour, or it's actually 50-minute soak, they call it. So very affordable for the use of all of the grounds. Robes are provided. Yeah, it was a great deal.
Yeah, and it was like I said, it's 2 hours away. Either on your way up or your way back, you're going to go by Hatch, New Mexico. There's a place there called Sparky's that has these famous green chili burgers and different types of meals. So that place is a lot of fun, a great little stop. So, I mean, all in all, great trip. I mean, only 2 hours away. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. We'll be doing the trip again, probably on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, but maybe not in the dead of summer.
fair enough.
For sure. Hope everyone found that one interesting. If you're in El Paso or passing, through New Mexico, and that sounds like, your cup of tea, I think it's definitely worth checking out. So, until next time, we'll see you later. Leah, you did it.
I am. Maybe try shaking it. It seems like you're going to be too big.
I'd have to get that new drone after all.
Wow, I think it was intentional.